Hello and welcome everyone to the First Circuit Podcast episode number 34. Today we have me, Biter, along with two of our usual hosts, Ian Desier.
Thank you.
And Oldbob.
Hey everybody, I'm on my phone, so bear with me.
Oldbob's computer's gone kaput. So it's just Ian streaming today. Some change up with everyone's technically disappearing, it seems. Oldbob and Larsh. So he's falling further and further away from us. Anyway, for today, we're just going to talk quickly about the Oceanic server relocation, the Harmony Gold lawsuit, the April Fool's event, the new mech release that's been announced, and the new mechs for MC/CBills. So first off, Harmony Gold. There's been an update, I think, on Sana.
Mm-hmm.
People have been looking at more information's come out about that. It's still ongoing. For those who don't know what we're necessarily talking about, Harmony Gold is trying to claim rights to when Battletech originally released, they used images of mechs from other series, and Harmony Gold's trying to claim some from certain mechs that had to be unseen, and they sued Battletech and Piranha Games.
Back in 1996.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Well, it's a recent suit that came up, because they saw Mechra Online was doing unseen mechs like the Phoenix Hawk and whatnot, and they saw a chance to get some more monies.
Did they actually copyright Rick and a guy named Hunter and Lisa and last name Hayes? Did they copyright that yet or what?
If they could copyright it, I'm sure they've tried, or they tried to sue someone for it. But nonetheless, at least people knew that there were some court cases before where it was actually proved that Harmony Gold doesn't actually own the rights to the things they are claiming. In this case, the mechs and the images they are claiming. And that is what Piranha Games, the owners of Mechra Online, are using against them. And Harmony Gold's trying to stall for time. They're trying to get a letter written from the original Japanese owner of the IP to write a letter saying, yep, now Harmony Gold has a property of it. But it's all ongoing, but it seems at least our Mechra Online's, our Battletechs have the upper hand in this case, as if the lawsuit didn't look silly enough in the first case, at least particularly against Battletech. And hopefully at least several months down the line when it goes through the court system, the silly court case will be thrown out. That's at least my general impression. However, it'll have to wait and see.
Well, yeah, basically they had the they were comparing a rifleman with a warhammer and saying, see, it's the same thing. It's like, really, dude? Come on. Harmony Gold just has some balls, and they're like the piranhas of the internet copyright sectors out there. It's just I just cannot believe these guys. Like, I thought they had the rights to only from the Japanese show to produce them inside Japan, not own everything though.
I honestly don't know. I think at least they want to own exclusive access to a whole bunch of Mecha IPs in distribution in the US, and that was not necessarily ever really given to them, but they have been acting like that's their God-given glory. And they're filing a lot of lawsuits, and I think that's just at least the basic point of this little update. Yeah. It's ongoing, but it looks like Harmony Gold is not on the upper hand. And hopefully this thing will be thrown out in due course.
I certainly hope so, man. Like, I looked at the front of their office building, and it's way unkept. It looks like a homeless building, so I guess they need more money.
Thank you for that contribution.
The other little thing, we don't have much information on this other than just the Oceanic server has been relocated to Perth. So those of you who have been struggling horribly with terrible pings after the last relocation, well, never fear, it's somewhere else that might be good or bad, though I haven't heard too much about it.
I heard Basic Browse, instead of a 400 ping, now has I think 150 or something like that. from what I was seeing. So like actually it did help and help the Asian community, which is great.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see how this thing pans out. Though my impression is, it will be a bit better. Though that's just on one incident. We haven't got enough data
going on.
Yeah,
true.
All right, so let's get cracking on with the main topics for today. Do you guys see the April Fools, the Corgi Mech release?
Yeah.
I saw it one day after all of the cool stuff was over.
Oh, that sucks.
Did you miss the event?
Yep.
Entirely.
Totally missed it.
No. It was really easy to do, too.
Yep. I do not own one of the coolest cockpit item ever.
Yeah, no. When I actually thought that was a mech. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh my god! It's like that's cool, and like then I go, okay. Then I click like buy it now, and it's like, and then it took me to the event. I'm like, oh okay. Oh, then I realized it was April 1st. I was like, that's awesome, man. And then I think Kanagashi actually made a video about it, like, should you buy? And he actually did a pretty good job at it. Like, I was watching it going, and he was very serious about, like, he doesn't know if this can be powerful or not with the sonic bark cannon or the whatever it is or something like that.
Yeah, he treated it completely seriously, deadpan tone. But, he did still mention things like, this thing is equipped with 2 LB-20s. Now, that normally wouldn't be able to fit into a 10-ton mech, but, you never know. It's a really advanced clan tech. Maybe they made it really light.
Yeah, I know. He did a good job at that.
Yeah, it was all in good fun. I think the Corgi was a silly little thing they chuck up on there. They pretend. I think almost like it felt a little self-aware, like when Kanajashi covers in the standard pack you have the Corgi 1 3 times. Well, I always complain about getting 3 of the same variant, but whatever. It's blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking at that time, it's like whoever put this together, they knew they just had to they're not doing a Corgi 1, 2, 3. They're taking the piss of their own 3 mech battle system now in the mech packs.
Yeah, I know.
You're not even getting 3 different mechs. You're getting 3 of the same one, and if you get the collector's pack, you get 4 of the same one.
PGI's doing a good job at that, like doing the humor like in it, and they did a pretty good job. And just like when the K9 first came out, they had the one video of the K9 trying to go after Locust. That was a really great video and basically good marketing tactics like on that. And I give props to PGI for that. Props for that. Yes.
Yeah, we often are quick to criticize PGI for not necessarily having too much in the ways of marketing or PR with the wider audience, but I think they quite hit it home with the Corgi Mech, and it's not just they're pretending there's a mech pack on the store page. They actually did a little event where you could get a little standing item of the Corgi, and it has a little animation when I think you get a kill, presumably, of a little bone pops up from the stand, and it's a little
oh, really?
A metal bone pops up from the bottom of the stand, and I think it's like chucked up in the air, and the Corgi grabs it with its mouth and then noms it.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm feeling even worse for not getting it.
Now, was it only 3 days or 6 days?
How long was that event? I think it was only for a short time, like 3 days or so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I did it as soon as it came out, so I didn't look at the thing, and I thought with you guys. So what? Did I was the only one who did the event?
No, actually, like I did it too, like from a computer crash, but it only took me like an hour to do though.
Yeah, it's
it's easy peasy. It was like destroy 50 enemy missiles with AMS, get 10 hit and runs, flank the enemy 5 times, and die once in quick play.
Yeah, that last part is probably quite hard to do for some of us.
I know
we all have losses in quick play where everybody dies, sadly.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the funny ones at least was, people don't necessarily know how to do the hit and run and flank the enemy successfully. And even I'm not necessarily completely sure of it, but like hit and run is you deal damage to the enemy and they don't deal damage back to you, and then you are, not fighting each other for like 5-10 seconds. So it is literally just like hit someone with a PPC and then stand behind cover until the thing pops up. And so a lot of people were grinding that for some time.
PGI needs to actually put a page like up there of all the different things about how to hit and run, what the real meaning is, like flanking, all that kind of stuff. It will help out the new players if they have something like that. And I mean, like literally, I still don't know like a lot of the stuff, and I was like, okay, cool, I got scouting, kicking, the type of thing, or the whatever base. But PGI needs to put a page out just saying what these terms mean and what and how you get them, because otherwise, like, there's a lot of bitching like on the on Twitter about that, and I think it will help out PGI with the new players.
Yeah, in previous events they have explained what these are, but it's not consistent. This one, I don't know how quickly they shoved it together, but I think they were much more interested in the flair rather than the mechanics, which is a little shame. Just consistently explaining what the more weird terms like flank the enemy and hit and run is quite useful.
Well, yeah, you don't have to put it for every event, but just put it on their main page, just like how like you could look at the mechs and like kind of like here's what assault mechs are, here's what heavy mechs are. Have like here's what to do inside the game itself, and here's what flanking does, here's what this does. That would help out new players out there instead of people just guessing. Because I heard a lot of wild stories, and it's like, okay, well, it needs to be this, and they're like, no, it's this. It's like, well, they need a page for that. It'll put it'll stop a lot of confusion out there.
So they actually have a glossar of all of their terms, which includes stuff like flanking, but the description is non-descriptive.
Woefully inadequate, perhaps.
Yeah, it's like flanking, a maneuver where warriors look to attack from the enemy side.
I mean, people understand the concepts and ideas of hit and run, but the way the game actually figures those things out and gives you rewards for them is quite different. Like, if I charge in with my piranha, shoot some butts, and then run off, if I'm hit during that time, I'm not sure necessarily I'm able to actually get the hit and run bonus, because the hit and run bonus is actually more geared towards you hitting them with a PPC or something and then running away.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was everyone was sharing the Corgi event, and sort of there's a whole bunch of AMSs around, which made it a little harder for me to streak everything. They're not too hard, and people running around, and like a lot of people taking lighter and medium mechs trying to get those flank and hit and runs, and getting really confused about what they're trying to do. I personally liked the page, and that like they have a little page announcing the mech release, a bit like you have lore, and they did this themselves. So they and I copy pasted this when the Corgi first came out. So it's like they say new weapon, the Sonic Cannon. The Sonic Cannon is a new weapon that will soon be added to MWO. Unlike the weapons currently in the game, this one will be the first to the first one not to be based on the weapon from the existing BattleTech lore and canon. It's a non-canon cannon. Due to concerns about completely original weapon possibly being overpowered, it cannot be equipped like other weapons. Blah, 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 blah. Like they're being semi-serious, but also throwing in things. Eventually, damage 1.33 barks per second, and I think there's something here. Yeah, it features amazing quirks like plus 50 adorableness, minus 90% tail length, minus 90% leg length, and plus 10 minute bark duration. And 50% more fluffiness. I just loved all the silly text that they're putting to the Corgi. At least for me, just someone who reads all of this stuff and usually finds it a little bit boring and dry. All right, if that's all we have to say about the Corgi, we've lost Oldbob from his phone.
Wow.
He was just so offended by the non-canon canon. His lore self pulled away.
Ida, don't do this to me.
1.33 barks per second. I've had enough of this shit.
Yeah.
What has MWO done to this game?
Anyway, it was definitely a fun event. I'm super sorry I missed that. It's cool.
Yeah. So in the meantime, at least, let's crack on with the MC and CBill released mechs.
Yay, Thanatos for MC. No one cares, no one buys MC. CBill mechs. That's a fun part. NovaCat and Nightstar. Like, you guys probably know I have some strong opinions about the Nightstar, and some not nearly as strong opinions about the NovaCat, but Bida, go ahead and be the voice of reason.
I mean, these two mechs are not the ones I would necessarily say are the high point of that mech release of Civil War escalation. But at least since I didn't actually buy them, I can finally get them for CBills if I'm crazy enough to do so. And I did buy a NovaCat because I've got to at least try it before I denigrate it too much. I haven't taken it out yet, but I got the one with 6 missiles in the arms because I could try and make that into a streak mech, and I put jump jets on it, and I've named it Kill Me.
Are you crazy? Streaks on a NovaCat? You need to put lerms on there. That's what I'm made for.
No.
No, okay, I'm definitely getting a NovaCat. I didn't buy the NovaCat package because I didn't like the mech and mech very far, so looking forward to that. Nightstar, don't do it. Don't buy one. That's all.
Yes, the Nightstar in particular feels. I'm not particularly a fan of it. I really like building the Nightstar, and it's funny, at least with the last patch. As we sort of mentioned, at least PGI buffed a Banshee, the 3S, giving it a whole bunch of armor and weapon quirks, and making it actually pretty decent. And, this is basically also a 95 tonner with nice high mounts and even more hard points than the Nightstars typically. So, wait a minute, why am I picking up a Nightstar when A, the Banshee was already usually better, B, the Banshee already has basically the same armor quirks, but C, it also has weapon quirks on top of better hardpoints. So both the NovaCat and the Nightstar are both underperformers as far as I'm aware within the game, and they don't necessarily fit many niches at this current point in time. The NovaCat has got most of its weapons predominantly stuck in its giant arms, and its arms can never really have lower arm actuators. And it goes at a painfully slow speed and often doesn't have that many jump jets, making it awfully clunky and difficult to build for.
Yeah, that's the thing I really hate about
Nightstar.
Hey Bob, you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back. My phone died for some strange reason. I don't know why.
Or your technology is rebelling against you, Bob.
It's a silence, damn it! They're against me. But yeah, basically, the NovaCat. One of the things I talked about, like when I actually did a review about it, is all the weapons in the arms. It's just like, I mean, like I do like the rifleman, but at least it has some weapons like inside the torso, which is not bad. But almost all the weapons inside the arms, it's like really, I do not like that. I do not like that at all.
Rifleman has a nice compact kind of shape where it's got good hill peaking, and if it turns to the side, its arms shield it quite nicely.
Yeah.
The NovaCat, though, it likes showing its chest to the enemy more so than anything, and its arms are low relative to the cockpit.
Yeah, I know. The Nightstar though, I like how it looks, but I don't like the design though. It looks cool, just like the Sun Spider. The Sun Spider is the same thing. I love how it looks, but I hate the mech. Same thing with the Nightstar. It's just like it looks cool, but I don't know. I every time I see it, it's just like it's like a free kill, pretty much, like for me.
Mm-hmm. It's basically like a Highlander 2C. Like you just ignore it and finish it off as you walk past.
I don't know. Like, with the right build, the Highlander 2C can actually pump out a crazy bit of damage.
Okay, now we're getting into a deep trench of philosophical discussion, Spider. Let's skip my comment here.
I finally got the Highlander 2C because of that damn event, and I was actually doing really well in it. But that thing, for the Nightstars, yeah, both of the, I mean, at least with a NovaCat, you can buy one and switch out the Omnipods. Nightstars, on the other hand, there's only one with the armor quirks, but you're trying to shove one ballistic and 2 energy into the arms with all that extra stuff in there, making it really difficult to actually make a decent build. And all the others have interesting hardpoints, but they're all got extra structure. And wait a minute, why am I borrowing with all these Nightstars when the Banshee 3S has the same ridiculous, a really annoying engine cap and is better in every way?
So let me guess, Spider, you like the Banshee then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the Banshees, even without all the armor quirks, generally I would say is a better fit. But the 3S is just better almost in every regard, except it's the Nightstar 9J has a little more extra armor on its CT. That's the only way it's a little bit worse. Woo.
Yeah, yeah, everyone has their own like different types of mechs they like, and I do have to agree the Banshee is an underused mech that is actually pretty good though.
Yeah, the Banshee has its strengths, but it is indeed not that heavily used in the game at the moment. And the whole point of the Nightstar is to make the Banshee look good, and the Banshee's hardly even played in the first blooming place.
True.
So, yeah, it's not that great of an CBill release. Next release, though, the Thanatos. One variant in particular, as I mentioned, is ridiculously tanky with its side torsos. So that's the one to look out for when it comes out for CBills, and that will actually be, the Thanatos is actually a half decent mech in its own right.
Once it comes out for CBills, I'll probably pick it up, but I won't pick. I only use CBills or like I use like MC to pick up hero mechs, and that's it.
Yeah, it's not worth it for the MC, but eventually when it's out for CBills, we have something good to look forward to. Like, we've got a whole bunch of mechs to look forward to. This is just the low point, and then we've got Thanatos, then we ramp up to Hellspawn, then we ramp really up to Piranha, and then a Black Lana and Sun Spider. Woo.
Yeah. Oh god, more Piranhas on the field, great.
Well, everyone got their hero mech in the first place, so a whole bunch of Black Lanas eventually, but everyone getting access to CBill Piranhas, oh boy.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna see a big CBill, a big like MG nerf. I predicted the MG nerf. It hasn't come yet, but it will. I'm telling you, everyone, it will come. The MG nerf will come. It's gonna, instead of actually being like a, it's gonna be like UAC jam chance. The same thing. You got more than 6 machine guns, you're gonna jam, and it's gonna take like 4 or 5 seconds to go unjammed or something like that.
We'll see. I don't think the machine guns are in a bad spot right now, nor whilst of course MG lights like the Piranha can do really well.
Yeah.
On average, I don't think it's necessarily ridiculously overperforming, and it's not. It's seen here and there, but it's not taken the world by storm because it is just a little 20-tonner.
I don't know, Biter. That Yuri guy that you snaked over the Bushwhacker against the King Crab. I still get comments about that and how you just totally use the Bushwhacker against the King Crab as a shield.
Oh, that video, yes. Well, me and Aethermech did actually kill off the majority of the team with 2 Piranhas whilst they were occupied. And that is incredibly good, but it's something that all the light mechs, in the right circumstances, should really be able to do some decent damage. But the bigger ones are, of course, just so easy to hit, relatively speaking, and they're they don't have the agility that is not up to snuff, and their firepower, particularly on the IS side, often feels kind of unless you're going medium pulse.
Oh yeah, true. But I mean, like any mech any pilot can actually go ahead and pilot any mech and make it really good. Well, no, hold on a second. Sorry, just got off work.
The Piranha has a very high skill ceiling, I'd say that at least. But you can't put any random schmo into the Piranha and have them do really good because of its extreme vulnerability and its incredibly risky playstyle to get up close.
And so, true.
Yeah, the skill floor is much higher than other mechs, and the skill ceiling is incredibly high on the Piranha compared to at least some other light mechs out on there on the field. So it has a lot of potential, but it's not easily abusable. It's no Spider back in the day where it just keeps running around and nobody can hit the damn thing.
Mm-hmm. I remember those days.
But that's all a long way in the future. Today, we can now pick up the NovaCat and Nightstar and waste your CBills on those poor Poor
If you're ever gonna
guys.
pick it up, guys, pick it up when it's on sale. Don't pick it up normally. 'Cause it's like 15 million for the NovaCat, and the Nightstar I think it's like 12. Just wait till it's like 50% off or something like that. That would at least save your CBills for a bigger disappointment.
So
Well, are you talking about the Fafnir or something in the future? I mean,
Hey.
I'm not the fan of the King Crab, but that has at least, some merits to it.
King Crab's fun. It's just
No,
just
you've
I don't
triggered
mind
me
it.
by
I
that.
don't mind.
I'm not the biggest fan personally, but yeah, Fafnir. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
We know. Just that thing's a giant walking torso as well. What is the PGI and their walking torsos? We've got Sunspider, Black Lana, Fafnir, Fleet,
You were
Blooddusk,
right
and
about
Hellfire.
that.
They all look pretty torso-y.
Yeah, speaking of side torso, let's move on to Hellfire. Because that's a big side torso.
It's a big torso.
It's a big
However, I don't know how that thing is going to, how do you make it... so anyway, yeah. Everyone, there's a new mech being announced, the Hellfire, a 60-ton clan battle mech. And this thing, at least my initial impressions, is it's like a Mad Dog, but it's a battle mech, and it's even more of a walking torso.
It has mask.
And mask. Yeah, it can go real fast. And
See, the problem is though, like you see these types of mechs that are coming out, lately though, I mean, they're cool mechs. Don't get me wrong, like in a tabletop and everything. Some mechs they had to build like the Roughneck and the Sunspider, but the problem is though, like all the mechs coming out, it's like meh, it just like people can instantly see the flaws in these mechs that are coming out. They really have nothing really going for them except for different weapon positions. Because I think we talked about this before with our hardpoints. With a hardpoint or a battle mech, not omnimex, but battle mechs, you're like, okay, well, here's a laser vomit, here's a ballistic vomit, here's a Lerm vomit or an SRM like vomit, and everyone's seeing these types of things that PGI is putting out. And I just wish they actually have something different. I mean, granted, yeah, you can have someone with mask and ECM and everything, but they need something different for these mechs to have them stand out. You know, just like all the other mechs, let's say the Banshee we're talking about, the Banshee doesn't really, you don't see that on the field. The Grasshopper, you don't see that on the field. If they pop in these quirks to go and make the mechs a little bit better, but even then, it's like everyone goes for the like help, like the Hellbringer or the Metamex like out there. They just need something more, for these mechs when they come out to give people to buy these mechs.
I think
Sorry,
at this point, since we've been talking about new mechs being kind of the same, I think we've reached some kind of point where the game is satisfied in terms of what you can actually do with new mechs. Most of the ones the community is hyped about are in the game, so the new mechs are just gonna be different looks. That's the main thing, and I'm fine with that. But yeah, I see your point.
I would say I mostly agree that the game has hundreds of mechs, different variants out, and hundreds of different types of mechs and hundreds of variants. So there's an incredible amount of saturation of all the different sizes and shapes and hardpoint locations of mechs. So there is an argument for saturation. The Hellfire does, it is the only clan, or will be the only clan, 60-tonner battle mech with mask. And that is bringing some cool, interesting stuff to the table. This thing is, in terms of hardpoints, as I was saying, quite similar often to the Mad Dog. If you sort of think of the prototypical Mad Dog, you've got missile side torsos and then backup energy arms. Sometimes no energy in the arms at all, like I put ballistics on there because it has armor quirks, but nonetheless, backup energy arms. And that is, the Hellfire 1, 2, A, B, and C, all of their hardpoints predominantly are featured around this idea. Missile side torsos, energy arms. Yes, there's sometimes a ballistic in the side torso, almost always an energy in the side torso, but otherwise it's Mad Dog, Mad Dog, Mad Dog, Mad Dog, Mad Dog in terms of the hardpoints you can do. And in terms of its shape and how it will likely play, just like with the Mad Dog and the energy arms, you don't necessarily usually want to make it an energy boat because they're kind of low and wide. And that's really a shame for a mech that's supposed to be at least according to Sana, its lore is they wanted to make a heavy laser boat.
Yeah.
And this mech, it's going to need some, at least it should have some heavy laser quirks. But with those laser hardpoint locations, it really doesn't feel like necessarily it's going to be an energy mech. It's going to be at home at that realm. Whereas the side torso missile hardpoints, they're a little better. And therefore, you focus on that instead because you don't want to expose the crappy arms.
Well, like every mech, you focus on the hard points and kind of figure out a build through there. So like you're kind of designing your own type of like mech per se. But it just seems that just lately, just like I said before, it's just lately the mechs are like, bleh. Yeah, okay, cool. I like, and Ian said, just the aesthetics of what it looks like is like that's what I want to have. I mean, I'd love to have a Stinger and a Wasp. The mechs themselves won't actually be the most efficient thing in the whole wide world, but I'd love to have one, though, to tell you the truth. Be on the field like, I'm a Stinger, I'm gonna sting you, that kind of thing be awesome. But it just the
I'm
mechs
an infantry.
Hey Stuggles, what's up, man?
Hey.
You're finally back.
Yeah, Power Nap was a success. It was everything I hoped it would be and more.
I take 3 minutes power naps on the way home driving. It's awesome. But yeah, it's just the mechs are just blah, and they just need to like bring something. Like maybe they should bring the older mechs, like say like the Clint, the Vulcan, some of the older like Intersphere mechs, and bring them in like into the game, because all the mechs are now just how they look and not really anything else. And so bring the nostalgia of it back in.
Is somebody operating a hand drill? What the hell was that?
He's on his phone, and his phone just he got a call or text or something like that, I assume.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, that's my Twitter going at the same time. So.
Oh boy.
I would say at least whenever there's a new mech release, of course, all we've got is the looks and the hard points and the engine, and of course, there's only so much to go by that. Whereas, in game, at least, a big determining factor was whether these mechs are going to live or die. At least a lot of times, particularly ones shaped like this, is the quirks. And at this stage, we just don't know them, which is why, again, you may say, you're thinking about the game being saturated because, of course, we can't see that this thing has, 20% heat reduction on all heavy laser quirks. And I'm like, oh, wow, this thing's an amazing, heavy, large laser boat. But I don't know that yet because all I've got is the shape and the hard points. And currently it's like, one high-mounted energy hardpoint is usually not worth the poke, and those wide, low arms are not necessarily that worth the poke either.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
if they did that though, like put in the quirks.
Well, something similar to that would be the Ebon Jaguar. That has wide, low arms and maybe one or two high-mounted hardpoints, but that thing pokes pretty well.
It pokes fairly well with the torso energies. It's usually how people use it.
Yeah, and the thing about the Ebon Jaguar is that it's fairly flat in general, whereas the Hellfire is pretty tall. Or its width.
At least when you can see a target, all your lasers and the Nebon Jag can shoot it. The Hellfire, on the other hand, its lasers are quite a bit lower than the cockpit, meaning you have to overexpose quite a bit, and it's a bit more fiddly to make sure you hit your target.
Well, how about the Blood Apps then?
Oh, that's very different.
The two top then, the two top ballistics.
Well, the two tops are actually. Oh, God, that sounds really bad. The two hard points are mounted actually a little bit higher than the cockpit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though they can still obviously hit the target if you see it. The arms on the Blood Asp have share a similar problem, I would say. So yeah, Snuggles, what is your thoughts on the Hellfire?
There's basically only one or two versions in there that are actually kind of worth. Yeah, I think the one of them out of the $20 pack, the Hellfire A, that one's going to have the most versatility to it. 4 energy hardpoints, 4 energy hardpoints, 4 missile hardpoints, and then 1 ballistic high mounted on the torso. You can do just about anything with that one. The lower engine cap's going to guarantee that you don't throw a big ass engine into it, so you'll have plenty of tonnage for all of the things and activities And that
Yep.
one's going to be a very good fire support mech. I think it might take, or not might, but if it doesn't suffer from horrible hitboxing like the Sun Spider does, it's definitely going to take the spot of the second line mech from the Mad Dog in the 60-ton slot.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can do something along the lines of a UAC 20 plus SRM 24 and an XL engine and manage to fit all of that in there.
Right. And it's the clan battle mechs that are really pulling ahead of everything else. So you take a look at the Mad Cat Mark II. Well, that's a battle mech. The Marauder 2C, that was a battle mech. The Kodiak was a battle mech. Everything that's super OP tends to be a clan battle mech.
Highlander 2C.
That thing.
That's
Yeah.
It's just-
The Orion 2C for the faction warfare drop, that thing is a beast, and when you spam them, when everyone's in like Orion 2Cs,
Yeah.
There's very few things on the battlefield that's going to be able to stop that wave of punishment.
Yeah, it's a good brawler. Yeah, I would agree. At least the versatility in this game of building battle mechs is always going to give a lot of wiggle room for the Hellfire. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's certainly its shape. It's a giant torso, it looks to me, and its hitboxes are going to be a huge concern.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, most definitely.
as a second line mech, like a Mad Dog, which also doesn't necessarily have great hitboxes, it's got some realm possibility of things you can do. It can't be as missile as a Mad Dog. Like you can't do 6 Streak 6 or 6 SRM 6 on it. But yeah, throwing in that extra ballistic in the side torso on the A is indeed the one variant that I'm really looking forward to.
What's it, the best way? Because I did a video about it already, but somebody in the comment section was like, a cougar and a supernova had a bastard love child.
Yeah.
And that bastard love child was crossed over with a piranha or something like that, or flea. Because this thing, at least with the bigger engines and mask, can go something like 136 or something like that.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
that respect,
yeah,
it actually
but-
kind of reminds me of the linebackers. So I'm actually personally looking forward to the Hellfire 2. I kind of want to play it as a super fast mask ATM harassing mech. And
Yeah.
that's going to be fun. Not necessarily effective, but fun.
I was going to say effectiveness. I don't know if it's going to be able to dethrone the Black Lantern, because inside that niche, right around 55 tons, the Black Lantern does some pretty fucking good work.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have for
and the
this
Black
one?
Lantern has a lot more options in terms of hardpoints. You can do mass MG if I've got the hero or the reinforcement pack, whereas this thing is almost always energy plus missile, maybe a ballistic or two.
Yeah, but outside of that role, I think the Hellfire is gonna take most of the utility out of Black Lantern, because
It's going to
Black
have so much
Lantern
more
is,
plot space.
yeah, it's like a one-trick pony.
Yeah, the Hellfire does have a lot of opportunities to it, and if it just gets the survival stuff, at least some survival stuff like the linebacker, then it's able to get some. I'll be much happier getting some work done. If, however, it's made of paper, it's going to be a very
Spider.
tricky mech to make good work.
Yeah.
Do you think the mask is going to help out?
Most definitely. Yeah.
Hopefully, yes. The issue is when mechs have mask, they nerf the base agility, and that's something a little bit the Black Lantern struggled with initially. It's got a giant engine, but it handles just like any other 55 tonner, at least initially. And you're like, when the mask is destroyed, this thing handles like crap. Maybe that was a little silly.
So, like in our in our past, just now, basically, like something like what do you think about the CBill mechs that are coming out?
Oh, with the Nightstar and the NovaCat?
Yeah,
they're both okay. I find the best way to describe them.
tell the truth. Come on, tell the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like people
We
that
do on this channel.
pilot Vipers. when they pilot them, they can get them to work. They look really impressive, and you're like, holy shit, that thing does great. Maybe I should pick one up. And then you pick one up, and you're like, I can only do 2 damage with it and survive 20 seconds into the game. This mech is absolute garbage. So I think if the mech clicks for you, you're going to just absolutely railroad shit. But if it's not that mech for you, then you're going to be very upset with it.
And that's both the Nightstar and the NovaCat?
Yeah. More so the NovaCat. Because the Nightstar, at the end of the day, it's still a 95-ton Marauder.
True. Well, actually, we're talking about the Banshee actually being better than better than a Nightstar.
Oh yeah, the God, not the 5S, the 3S. After all the fucking tank buffs. Oh my god, I took that mech out, and I'm just I got caught hitting the competitive wave. We were just like 228, KCOM, just every other game. And I was averaging right around 500 or so damage with a couple components and a kill or two, which is usually pretty good in an assault mech against a coordinated team with good fire.
Yeah. Yep. That's funny enough the same mech I pointed to as a much better alternative to Nightstar. It's got the tankiness, and it's got way better weapon quirks, and nice high mounts, and way more hard points to make use of.
But I do love me my Nightstars.
I might pick one up when it's on sale though, because I don't want to be disappointed. So I'll go wait till about 6 million or so like that.
Well, you will recoup your money, at least your CBills, I should say, on a few of them where you can sell the XL engine, turn around, and put a light or a standard in it.
Well, obviously a light engine.
Other than, all of them come XL except one light and one standard engine on the Nightstars. Oh boy.
The hero one, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good one to pick. I'm just running MRM 40s and mediums on it, and it does okay. There's the more successful builds I've had on it have been dual Ultra 20s and medium lasers, quad LBs, 6 mediums and 2 rack 5s, and just stuff that you think would go really good on medium mechs will do really good, or not mediums, but I'm sorry, heavy mechs will do really good on the Nightstar, and you just use the armor and the survivability to really just kind of bully people around, just push your way through the battlefield.
I mean, personally, I had picked up a Mean Baby, which already does the 4 missile hardpoints on a big, giant, slow mech, and it had a whole bunch of energy I could use as well. It's like, for me, the Nightstar hero didn't bring anything new to the table at all.
Oh, getting a phone call. 1 second.
Well, we'll just have to go see basically once it's on the field of battle, go and see what's going on with it. Like I said, I'll wait till it's sell, and then I'll kind of give my review about the Nightstar. Is it good or bad? Is it a piece of junk or not?
Well, what you do is you tell any new players to the game, all right, pick up any mech from the Civil War escalation pack. They're all great except the Arctic Wolf. Do not pick up the Arctic Wolf. You've got your light, your heavy, and your assault. The top tier 3 mechs of choice there, right there. And don't accept
I want
any
them to keep on playing, though.
You're supposed to torture you, be silly.
I want them to keep on playing the game. Don't want them to stop.
Oh, I guess at least what you tell them is you get the Osiris, the Viper, the NovaCat, and the Nightstar, and that is the ultimate. All 4 weight classes mechs lined up in a row.
See, I'm really good at both of them, though. So
they can do some good work, but that's the perfect mech for a newbie.
Oh, new players? Oh, fuck no.
Okay.
That's a great way to have a bad time.
Shh.
What would be actually a good mech for a newbie? Let's actually go into this now.
Huntsman.
The Huntsman. Now, why is that?
It can do everything. It's one of, I think that and the Timberwolf are the best Omnipod mechs in the entire game. It runs at a good speed. You can get yourself in and out of bad situations pretty good. Again, it can do everything. If you want to boat lasers, it can do laser vomit. If you want to boat missiles, you can boat missiles. If you want to do autocannons, it's one of the few medium mechs that can actually do the larger autocannons in conjunction with other weapons well. You can do a mixture of all 3. like the damn thing is it's the Swiss Army knife of the whole game. It can do anything, and it's good.
It's a nice
hit
versatile mech, and
Yeah.
has some good. If you can see it, you can usually shoot it.
Geometry hitboxes are on it. The only really kind of flaw to it is the CT is a little big for my liking, but it's it's the counterbalance to it. The mech can't be perfect. So, but other than that, it is a solid mech choice.
Mm-hmm.
So the Huntsman and the NovaCat then, right?
Yeah. I
Or
would
the Jumbo,
I
I'm
tend
sorry.
to lean people more towards heavies and mediums, just because people focus down the assaults, and if your first mech is an assault, and most players just don't know how to handle getting focus fired, and
Races my hand.
Yeah. People just start losing their shit, and they're just like, everyone's trying to kill me. I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, I don't know why everyone keeps trying to kill me. I'm like, well, you're in an Atlas. That's you're gonna have that.
Yeah, I would agree quite a lot with that. I usually, I point people to a Huntsman mediums first, because lights are too small and fast, and if you're new to the game, you don't want to be flying around the map, trying to scratch people to death. So that's a lot of that's a very highly demanding task to do. Whereas if you shove them into bigger mechs, then they're taking more tonnage away from the team in general, and therefore they're on an uphill struggle. And bigger mechs are much more expensive to build and kit, etc., etc. So mediums are somewhat a nice sweet spot for that. And indeed, in Omni-Mech, you just buy new Omnipods. You don't need to buy new different variants. Huntsman is nice and flexible, etc., etc. The only alternative, perhaps, I would say, on the IS side, something like the Bushwhacker has, crazy good durability, a whole mix of hard points. You can do a whole bunch of different builds on most of the Bushwhackers, and even if you're getting shot a bit, you'll take a while to go down.
Very true. Like unfortunately though, my wife actually likes Locust, and so she tried that, and highest damage I think she got was like 29, but still she's having a blast with it though. She charges the enemy like I do, but like I like myself, I definitely think like mediums and like assaults, mediums for plug the holes, and then no, actually I'm sorry, like heavies. Mediums to plug the holes, and heavies because you can take a damage and make mistakes and still actually play the game.
Maybe at this point we should quickly talk about what kind of qualities we're actually looking for in a starter mech. For me, those are mostly two things. Accessibility, the mech shouldn't be too expensive, which is why I'm having a hard time recommending the Timby, because it's so expensive.
It is pretty
even more importantly, versatility.
It's worth it,
but yeah. And versatility, like you want a whole bunch of different weapon hardpoints, or you can try out stuff. You preferably want jump jets and some mobility, so you can test that playstyle. So yeah, I really like the Timby as a starting mech. It's a really good testing platform.
Well, how about the Irby then?
Lights are quite limited in their hard points.
Yeah, lights
they're
in
limited,
general are tough.
Well, yeah, they're tough, but this doesn't go too fast. It could tank like an Atlas. It's like a mini Atlas. We always make a joke about it. And, once you actually skill it up and everything. And plus, also, it has some hard points that, 4 machine guns, like 2 laser hard points, and then also some have missile points. Okay, so it has different types of builds you can do.
This is the issue with new players. A lot of the players coming in from MechWarrior Online are coming in from previous MechWarrior games. And in every single MechWarrior title, the two best fucking weapons in all of the games for solo play were PPCs and LRMs. So naturally, we just see a heavy gravity towards those two weapon systems starting out with people coming in from previous games. Because like, oh shit, it was good in that game. It should be good in this one. And you're going to see a PPC LRM boat on an Irby mech.
I mean, no comment.
Sure.
Though most Derby builds aren't that great in the first place, so it's not too much of a loss.
Some Irby builds are pretty cool. Like, I like playing them once I'm just bored with all my other mechs. I just jump in an Irby and just see how well I can do and everything. It's not too bad. It's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, I like pointing people towards mechs like the Huntsman because you're not worrying about buying different engine sizes, because that's sometimes a thing with the
Mhm.
Bushwhacker. Sometimes
Sure.
you might want to try, I want to do this build, but I need just this right-sized standard engine, light engine, XL engine. What's an XL engine? And there's so many choices to pick from. Whereas Huntsman, that gets rid of all of that, buying various different engines and being able to kit it up for different things. It always has the same engine. All you're doing is playing with a set amount of tonnage that you can work with and a set number of hard points. So
So
all you
basically,
need to do is buy weapons rather than engines, and that's a lot cheaper.
so like it looks like actually the biggest consensus is that we're actually talking about clan mix. New players should actually go join clans because it's the versatility and plus also the easiness of playing the weapon systems, the engine sizes, and everything else. You have to go change everything. You just change the omnipods, and that's it.
Mostly, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with IS is at least if you're jumping into an IS mech, usually if I want to suggest someone an IS mech, I want them to really have a good idea of what they want to try or what they have fun with,
Yeah.
and therefore they want to build towards a certain build, and therefore they have quite a certain level of build discipline because buying all those XL engines or light engines or whatnot isn't cheap. And so you have to be really careful with how you grind out where you spend your first cadet bonuses and where you spend your first CBills you're earning, because there's just not that much on the table to start with. Whereas a clan mech, you save up and you buy it and you're done, and that's a lot easier recommendation to somebody who as if they're a new player, I usually don't necessarily know them that well.
Well, we're also taking in consideration the person's play style. Like I could recommend the Mauler, and that is, arguably the best IS assault mech in the game. But if the person really doesn't like the assault play style, now they just blew their wad on a mech they really don't like, and now they have to resell it and start from a grind aspect. Same thing with heavies. Like if they want to go heavies, it's really hard to go wrong with a Warhammer or a Roughneck. But say they pick the all energy Roughneck because I'm like, laser vomit's really powerful, and they're like, yeah, I really like laser vomit. See it in the game, that usually what kills me. And they start playing it and they realize they fucking hate laser vomit again, and that mech they're stuck with those hard points.
And to some degree, at least with laser vomit currently, I would say clan have a huge edge for the most part. Whilst the Roughneck's pretty tough, they're going to see everyone's running around in Hellbringers and say, why didn't you recommend me the damn Hellbringer?
Right. And then we get back to the Omnimech section of it. And it's like, okay, you own a Hellbringer. You hate running laser vomit. Well, now you just switch out the parts, and now you're running missiles. So you have that.
Probably. Sorry, go ahead.
You can kind of figure out the person's play style, like what weapon system they tend to gravitate to. Because I tend to generally gravitate towards scatter weapons, so like SRMs, MRMs, and shotguns. So that's kind of what if you leave me to my own devices, that's what's going to end up on my mech more often than not. But that's not
like to spread your load all over the enemy.
I really do. I love spreading my snuggly love all over everyone.
That's a good way of playing.
But that's not everyone's play style.
Yeah, true. Yeah, actually, like you are right. Though, like even though I don't like clans so much, I do think that buying clan mechs, like the only disadvantage is the cost wise, and so you should always try to buy mechs when they're on sale. But generally, overall, for a new player, probably clan mechs will be the best thing for go and use everything for the versatility of the omnipods.
Yeah, the only mild exception from IS I can sort of think of would be something like a Vindicator 1X. Sometimes mechs like that.
That's a hard mech to play, though.
It's just at least it's got armor up the wazoo and weapon quirks and weapon options all over the place, allowing people to try a whole bunch of stuff with it. But yeah, it's never going to be a full-on dedicated brawler or MG mech like some clan mechs can be.
In terms of versatility, since we're talking about IS mechs, I actually like to recommend the Shadowhawk. The Shadowhawk has always been a jack of all trades mech, even in lore. So it's a really good testing platform for Inner Sphere. So what I usually do is I recommend the clan mech to try out initial, like, what kind of weapons do you like? And then if you want to try out IS tech, go for Shadowhawk. It's fairly cheap. It's versatile. It has jump jets, mobility.
Now, also, one thing that I do, this is just kind of wishful thinking here, kind of a shot in the dark thing, if PGI would have the public test server open more often. Because there was so much shit like I bought because I went over on the public test server, messed around with it, and really liked it, and ended up buying it on the live server because of that.
Well, this almost goes into my whole thing about they should change the trial mech system. Instead of having these stock builds with no skills and crappy builds, basically, it should just be you have free reign to try a build on this mech for this week.
Oh, dear
And
Christ, no.
that way, at least, well, the idea with that is that you don't actually have to waste all the CBills buying and kitting out a mech. Instead, you actually get full range to experiment and play with the customization systems in a safe environment, because that's sort of the big draw of MechWarrior Online is customization. And when you start off, you have to be really careful where you pay those CBills, and you're really limited with what you can do. It does not sell the game the best it can.
So, like for the trial mechs you're talking about, like in testing grounds, not actually playing in game, right?
I don't mind if you could play the games. If you had like 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults, and you rotate them every week, it means people get to, if you're even if you're new or old to the game, you can try out these mechs, just fiddle around with the build, see what you like, and eventually it'll go out of rotation, and then you have to actually pick it up and buy it if you really want to actually properly experiment with it.
That has a marketing aspect to it. I do understand that. I think I probably would sell some mechs then, at least for CBills. Because if I like a certain mech, it's like, oh man, I used it for the trial. This is pretty cool for like 1 week, and then boom, it changes to something else. Like, well, shit, I want that mech. I want to go buy that mech now. And so I'll probably go buy that build that I like. It actually has some marketing like aspect.
The thing is, like at least with the suggestion of the PTS, is people going on the PTS are people who are already quite familiar with the game. If I'm picking up MechWarrior Online, I'm not figuring out all the different servers and this, that, and the other. Unless it puts people into PTS to start with, it's unlikely most new players are actually going to go that direction. It would be nice if it was an option available for vets to suggest to new players, but honestly, a new player is going to jump into the game. They go through the tutorial, and they're thrown right into the the main game, the main interface, and everyone there has to play a trial mech. And I just like the idea of, even though these aren't technically your mechs, they're trials for you. You're able to fiddle around with them, try out different builds, put in whatever engine you want, and you can really experiment and play with the game's mechanics, and that sells you the game.
But does a brand new player need to have that much in-depth, like balls to the wallness on the trial mechs?
They don't need to. I think they should.
Yeah, and they don't have to
at that point throw them in the
builds.
cold water. Give them the option to run the stock trial mechs, which should be okay builds, and then give them the option to do whatever the heck they want.
Okay, well, in the past, when the trial mechs came with their stock technical readout builds, yeah, absolutely. But now they have like community builds. Like when the Kodiak 3 is a trial mech, that's a fucking meta competitive setup. You roll the autocannons, and you don't touch the mediums until you run out of ammo. And even a new player can crank out respectable damage in that build now. Like
they can. Though that, like the meta Hunchy. Dual Urak 10 also has a couple of mediums on it, and I see so many newbie players overheating themselves super quick with both the Kodiak and the Hunchy 2C because they're not used to heat management mechanics yet.
Well, yeah. If they're not used to the heat management mechanics, it doesn't really matter what they have on the build. I mean, they're going to overheat anyway.
Possibly, though, if they have obviously the opportunity to edit the build themselves, they would just chuck out those medium lasers and put in some heat sinks, because at least.
Oh, that's not what they're going to do. They're going to chuck out those medium lasers and put some LRMs in there.
Well, no. Well, it does.
I mean, if they manage to do that on a Hunchback.
See, the thing is, though, like we're actually not thinking like a newbie. Like we're thinking like vets. Like
our newbies are going to do a whole range of different things. But in my perspective, at least, at the bottom of Tier 5, sure, they're going to be running around on meta builds, non-meta builds, whatever, and it really comes down to the pilots more so than the builds.
And like basically, I don't mind actually like them customizing the trial mechs and everything, but maybe like not gain skills with it. That way, at least they have some incentive or more of incentive to actually go purchase that mech, either for MC or like CBills.
Well, like,
Yeah.
when you're done with your 25 matches, you're going to have around 10 million. That's incentive enough. That's just money burning a hole in your
10
pocket.
million.
Yeah,
23 million, I think.
they should about 10.
I see a lot of new players, though, by the way, with a cadet bonus.
That bonus,
As soon
like
as
my
they
wife.
earn enough dosh to buy a locust, they will buy a locust because they don't
Yeah.
necessarily know that it's going to keep going for 25 matches, and they want to get their mech now. They want to try and get into the customization systems now, and that means a lot of them are stuck, trying to fiddle around, buy engines and all that stuff for a locust, and that's at least a lot of what I've seen.
So,
Yeah,
seeing that we're kind of running up on time, maybe we should start to find a consensus and slowly wrap up.
Well, I
medium
think
mech and heavy
I would
mech good for new players.
Rough neck, best neck.
Heavy mech, best mech.
I would generally say at least we've generally been in consensus that the new player experience isn't what it could be for this game.
Oh yeah.
And there's loads of ways you could improve it. I just think, as I said, that my suggestion is just because I think the strong point of this game is customization, and you should give that to people from the get-go. And whilst it sounds scary, it's mixed trial mechs actually useful.
Well, you basically have like two groups of players. You have the players that played the previous MechWarrior games, so they're basically starting out this game and projecting all the things they've learned from the other MechWarrior games onto this one, which is not necessarily the case. You get a hard transition from MechWarrior 4 to MechWarrior Online, and it sure the content is the same, but it plays very differently, and the things that do well there don't necessarily do well here. And there is that bit of a learning curve, and depending on how stubborn that person is, it may take longer than expected. And then you have your person who's never heard of this before playing, and then they just see LRMs they're constantly dying to LRMs, so why not run LRMs?
Okay.
Well, like it every person's experience will be different though. Like, and one thing that PGI can do is actually do like a general consistency, or actually like a general page, like saying, hey, these are okay. Here's advantages and disadvantages of these weapons, or something like that, or some
people don't read.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to let people out into the sandbox. All I'm let's again just to reiterate my point. I think you want to have a very nice starting sandbox to get people involved and interested. Because as Sluggles says, people come in, they see Lerms are really effective, and what's the Lerm mechs available today? Lerm Stalker, woo. Lerm Kintaro, double woo. They're both pretty bad.
Yeah.
And they don't get a chance to just customize any of the trial mechs to their own preferences. Instead, they have to buy blah, blah, blah. But anyway.
Yeah, so basically, we've been kind of agreeing on that the new player experience in MWO sucks. That's what we've been talking about for ages.
What new player experience?
There needs to be a change.
I don't think there's a way. It's really difficult to educate players, though. Obviously, a tutorial at the beginning, having more ways to do combat experience, like against bots, for example, would be nice.
That exists. That's in the tutorial.
Yeah, it is.
Because every time I make a Smurf account, I have to fucking go through that tutorial. And let me tell you, it's there.
Yeah, it is.
Which is why I get more upset when I'm like, you didn't play the tutorial, did you? Because I have to play it every time.
They have been slowly updating it over time. Since for me, at least, it was I was told to run around a course, and then like, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, like run around a course while things shoot you. Oh wow! That's
with that one, you actually, I think, get 2 million CBills just for completing at a basic level.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, I did that. That was nice enough, but there was not much in the way of combat or trying out builds and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then speaking of build, the other thing we've talked about was what's a good starting mech, and we've kind of agreed on Huntsman, Bushwhacker, maybe Timberwolf.
Yeah, anything clan basically will be fine because it allows you to do much. It's more expensive, but yet it's unforgiving on it's very forgiving for weapon placements and all that kind of stuff. So you can customize it like crazy.
Yes.
Okay. So who wants to do the outro?
All right, guys, that was the First Circuit podcast episode number 34. With me, Biter, Ian, Oldbob, and Snuggles Time. Hope you all enjoyed listening to the podcast, and we'll see you all later.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Listen.